This is Jackson Kerr, and you're listening to Prophetic Keys. Today we're going to be talking about COVID-19, that one thing besides Donald Trump which is dominating the airwaves. One of the things which has caught my attention about COVID-19 is how differently it has been handled than any other disease that I've seen. Everyone is being told to stay indoors, wear masks when they go out, and limit their contact with people. But why do governors insist that we continue these practices while the numbers of cases have been dropping? Well, that's because this isn't about the numbers. This is about a mindset. What you've been witnessing in the past several weeks is propaganda. Now I'm going to share something that is a bit unconventional, but which has relevance to what's going on in our nation today. If you're interested about what's really going on, it all ties back to a terrible device which is called the Scold's Bridle. I'll warn you that if you look it up, some of the images may be disturbing. The Scold's Bridle was a mechanism of torture whose sole purpose was to inflict humiliation and harm upon someone who was suspected of being a gossip. A sort of cage, often embellished with donkey ears, a bell, or a wolf's mouth, was put onto the head of the accused, and a sharp metal plate fitted between their teeth, causing discomfort and keeping them from speaking. This person would then be paraded through the streets, silent and ashamed, as a method of punishment. Now, why am I bringing up a method of medieval punishment? What on earth does this have to do with current events? The key here is masks. Masks have been used in many cultures across the ages for various reasons. There are ceremonial masks, masks which have been thought in some cultures to bring good fortune, masks worn by those who are looking to protect their identities, both in popular culture and in crime. But the significant thing here is that in those cases, the person wearing the mask made the choice to put it on. Now mask wearing is being enforced. When news of COVID-19 came out, businesses required people to wear masks, as required by the state. We take it for granted because we hear it on the news, but why is this a rule across the board? If you go out in public, there's a call to wear these masks everywhere. These masks government officials are encouraging people to wear to go into some stores today are little more than markers used to cow people into submission. It's just a mask, you might say. I can go ahead and wear it, especially if it's going to save lives. But that's exactly my point. The point of these masks is not to save lives. If you do the research, the numbers for COVID are going down. The virus is dying out. Data from reliable sources says that the masks we are told to wear aren't even effective in filtering out the COVID particles. According to an article by Cleveland.com news section, a reporter spoke to Dr. Amy Edwards, who is a pediatric infectious disease specialist and associate medical director for infection control at University Hospitals, Rainbow Babies, and Children's Hospitals. According to Dr. Edwards, she says, quote, "The pores in the fabric of a surgical mask may be too large to prevent smaller airborne particles from getting through," end quote. She also says, quote, "It must be properly fitted to the face to be effective," end quote. I read another article, they said that it takes like 20 minutes to properly fit it, and it has to be flush across the face for it to properly screen. Understand the coronavirus particles can be small as 0.1 microns in size, while most masks you find in the store filter down only to 0.3 microns, which would be 3 times larger. You can find sources such as LiveScience.com and Cleveland.com News and others telling about how while the masks may have the appearance of filtering out particles, the COVID-19 particles are actually too small to be filtered out by these masks. So then we come to the question, why are most news sources telling perfectly healthy people to wear these masks? The short answer is propaganda. The agenda of the deep state is to keep Trump out of office by fear-mongering. As soon as the Russia collusion narrative was over, COVID-19 conveniently popped up on the radar. If you want reliable sources to stay away from the mainstream media, if you want to find real news, look for small independent news sources online. The media and the governors, the big media, will tell you to wear the mask to protect yourself, and yet the mask has been shown to be ineffective. So what's really the point of the mask? The answer is simple. It's not to keep people from being sick. The mask is what we call a social marker. Now, a social marker is something we use to distinguish people. It's usually not something we pay much attention to, but details like, she has red hair, his eyes are blue, She looks tall for her age, are all social markers, things we use to distinguish people from each other. They can be things which attract people together or repel people from each other. What the government and mainstream media are doing in tandem is what they have become experts at, dividing people. Trying to keep people from interacting, putting their heads together and realizing that the wave is over and what's going on now is a power grab. They tell everyone to stay home, wear a mask when you go out, and have food delivered to your house. But before COVID-19, it was generally understood in society that when someone becomes sick, you don't send everyone home, just the person who is sick. You see this in the school system or at work. If one person is sick, they will ask the one sick person to stay home and not tell everyone else to leave work or start wearing masks. Isolating people is another way the corrupt government, those who are corrupting government, are using to keep people ignorant of what is going on. If people don't see most of their friends and they hear of hundreds of thousands of false cases of COVID, it's more reasonable to assume the reports are true. However, if they have been in regular contact with their friends and family who are not sick, the predictions of the mainstream media do not sound credible anymore. We often hear news about people getting booted out of stores for not wearing masks. We're told it's because of COVID-19, but any amount of research outside the mainstream media tells us that the virus has been dying out. Yet the media and some people in government are telling us that it's necessary to keep away from each other and keep wearing masks. This is a parallel of the history surrounding the scold's bridle. A public display is made of those who dissent or speak out. If this is really about keeping people from being sick, store owners and police would insist on people wearing masks every time, right? That's what I thought. But then I saw a story the other night about someone who was asked to leave a store for wearing a protective mask. So which is it? What's the truth? According to many mainstream news sources, any of them, either of them, anything that can continue to cause panic so that they can jump on this and say, oh no, it's a Trump presidency, help, 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 we need someone else in office. To the members of Congress and media behind this, they don't care as long as they can keep stalling and working on a way to keep Trump, who I believe is God's candidate, out of office for a second term. We need to pray for his protection and that God puts who he wants in office. I am prophesying that their plans, that these people who are working against the president, their plans are going to fail, truth is going to reign, and we will be free in our streets once again. And that truth is going to be out on the airwaves. The economy will boom and businesses will rise and grow exponentially. Despite the negative voices shouting in our world today and the confusion propagated by false information, there is hope. Romans 8, 1-4 says, quote, "There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. For the law of the Spirit of life has set you free in Christ Jesus from the law of sin and death. For God has done what the law, weakened by the flesh, could not do. By sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, he condemned sin in the flesh in order that the righteous requirement of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not according to the flesh but to the Spirit." End quote. If the people of God rise up in prayer and are led by God's Spirit, we can tear down enemy strongholds, spiritual strongholds, which are making a desperate attempt to keep this nation held back. I'm Jackson Kerr. This has been Prophetic Keys. Thank you for your time.